Okay.
So I got 5 films,
Okay.
but 3 things. And the first 3, the Bloodthirsty trilogy, which was for a long time like a holy grail. I would see these pictures of this amazing color and light, this Japanese vampire, and that's not a huge tradition in Japan. Yeah, it was great. And it's Vampire Doll, Lake of Dracula, and Evil of Dracula, none of which have Dracula. It doesn't matter. And
well, he kind of is in the third one.
And
well,
I can't
the guy
really
in the second and third one is kind of Dracula.
He's sort of a Dracula-esque. I mean, there's
a white guy. There's a white guy in the third one who's implicitly Dracula.
He's a snappy dresser, and he always has that light. I don't remember a white guy. It's been a while since I saw him. It's been a long time since I saw Lake of Dracula.
Yeah, it's a flashback, and they talk about a guy who was drinking his own blood because Christianity was illegal in Japan at the time.
Yeah, that was interesting. I wish they'd gone a little bit more in that. They're not very Japanese, which is
I think they're imitating like Hammer and Gothic.
No, very
Hammer
much.
And Italian.
If you took Hammer and the Roger Corman Gothics, the AIP Gothic films, kind of got that sense. A little bit, a little bit in there. You get these films, and a Vampire Doll is probably my favorite of the bunch because it has
which is the one I haven't seen.
It's very pretty.
It's the posters.
The posters are absolutely gorgeous. I would love to have them on my wall. Absolutely beautiful. So not a lot to say about them except they're worth seeking out.
The second and third one got dubbed, and the other one didn't.
Yeah,
I've got the super duper set where they're all subtitled and are beautiful. I watched the first one the other night for you, and I watched the second one last night.
Yeah, Arrow Video does just a phenomenal job.
They're the bomb, man.
So definitely worth seeking out. Some people don't like cultural appropriation. I'm a big fan of it myself, and I love seeing when one culture takes something and what they do with it. And to me, it's not so much appropriation as crossover. So you have Kurosawa took the American Westerns and made a samurai film, and then the Americans took that samurai film and made a Western out of it. And we got some great stuff out of this,
Yeah. Have you ever seen Exorcist Master? I think you'd like it.
I've never seen Exorcist Master. But that definitely worth.
It's a film with both Chinese hopping vampires and a European vampire, and a Taoist priest and a Catholic priest.
Okay, we're gonna have to write that down later. Okay,
big fan of hopping vampires. So the 2 I really wanted to talk about, Near Dark and Let the Right One In. Near Dark, 1987, started out as a Western.
Great year.
They weren't going to give her any money, Catherine Bigelow. They weren't going to give her any money for a Western. They barely gave her any money for a horror movie, and it didn't do well. But it's a great film. It's a great film. Now, here's my philosophy of vampires. Whoever was talking about tapeworms. Yeah, that's my philosophy. Vampires are parasites. Vampires are monsters. Vampires should be destroyed.
Yeah.
I'm on Van Helsing's side the whole time.
Okay, Bill, that's fighting words.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is racism. It is racism.
But let me ask you a question.
If there's a race that preys on my race, I'm a racist.
No, I'm with you on that, especially on Last Man on Earth. I'm with you on that. And even though Matheson is telling you the opposite, I mean, he's flipping it around.
Well, if I were in Vincent Price's shoes at that point, I think I would take it out, because really, what am I fighting for? You're just there's really no point to it. But listen,
what do you think of characters? What do you think of characters? Speaking of Tomb of Dracula, I'm sure you're familiar with this character. What do you think of characters like Hannibal King, who are heroic and live off stuff in the hospital?
That's the thing. There are exceptions, and in fact, at some point, I will publish a book that's based on something I really. It's a story so near and dear to my heart, and central to it is a love affair between a human and a vampire. But I'm not sentimental about it. It always ends badly. It has to end badly by its very nature. There's only 2 possibilities. The human becomes, and we'll talk more about it with Let the Right One In, human becomes the thrall, keeping the vampire alive by preying on innocent people, or the human becomes a vampire. Neither one is particularly a good ending. But Near Dark was great because, yes, I think vampires should be killed, but I empathize. I don't sympathize. I empathize. I understand from their position. This is what they have to do to survive. If they're dicks about it, I'm happy to kill them. And if they're not dicks about it, if it's someone like Hannibal King or Angel or some of these others that take lemons and make lemonade out of it, okay, if you can work with it, fine. But if you're killing innocent people, you got to die. It doesn't matter. I don't
well,
have to.
from a
I don't have
vampire's perspective, is anyone really innocent?
Yes. Listen, people say, well, you eat pigs. If pigs started talking, if right before I'm about to slit his throat, he's like, please tell my wife, Martha, that I love her. And the kids, I'm like, I am not eating pig. Bacon is now off the menu. It's off the menu.
But
I'm a vegan,
but
so
they're livestock and we're livestock.
No. See, when a vampire comes up and says, listen, I am a vampire. I must feed on you. You are but livestock to me. You are this, you are that. It's like, dude, you're having a conversation with me. Okay. If there's anything I hate in science fiction, it's these aliens that come down to Earth and talk about, you are as the buzzing of tiny gnats before me. I'm like, so you're talking to a gnat? I mean, you don't see me walking down the sidewalk, stepping on ants, saying, flee before my might. You are like tiny insects before me. Because
it's like a Jack Kirby horror story from the 50s.
I would like to see that, though.
Me too. That actually, yeah. Get ready for the funny farm. But what I like about Near Dark is, okay, the vampires are vampires, and they are kind of dicks about it.
But they're interesting.
But they're interesting, and they've created this family, and within the family, they have this structure and all. But it really does show the awfulness of immortality. They are living because the only other option is not living. There's no joy in it. What little joy they get is from being sadistic pricks. Because and you sort of
they have fun.
Yeah, because that's all there is. Other than that, it's just boarding up and avoiding the sunlight, which that's the other thing I love about vampires when they talk about, I am superior to you. It's like, dude, everything kills you. Literally everything kills you. You can do this and you can do that, but you can't go outside. You can't eat a garlic pizza. You cut yourself on a hawthorn bush and you bleed to death. I wrote a short called 400 Ways to Kill a Vampire because it just cracked me up how many different ways you can kill vampires.
So we have another vampire scholar here. Francis was one too. Thank you. I'm glad to know you are. That sounds very cool.
I mean, they don't even show you some of the ways you can kill vampires because it would just get silly. Like running water kills them. They actually did that in Dracula.
We talked about that earlier with Daughter of Darkness.
Come on. A sprinkler system killed him in one of the last of the Hammer Dracula movies.
Yeah,
whatever.
Tomb of Dracula, they finally had to cut his head off and burn his body and his head separately.
And he still
to have him dead.
Actually, they never managed to do that in the Tomb of Dracula series.
Yeah,
that was how they.
In the last issue, that was what they did.
The last issue
almost.
No, last issue, Quincy Harker stabbed him with a silver spoke of his wheelchair through the heart.
Yeah,
and then he blew up the castle and destroyed their body.
He was about to cut his head off, but then the castle blew up. So he didn't
really have the resources on his own to do the whole heavy beheading.
I will say, Tomb of Dracula is my favorite portrayal of Dracula.
Me too.
Yeah, I think Doctor Strange eventually eliminated Dracula. He
comes back. Yeah, he died several times in that series, but
the two standouts in Near Dark. Well, Lance Henriksen's great in everything he does.
Oh man,
he's got that world weary.
Hooker.
This guy's been around for a long time. But Bill Paxton, this was the breakout role, and goddamn, what a loss it was. Not only was he just a terrific actor, just commands the scene anytime he's in a scene.
Yeah.
But if you ever see one of his few directorial efforts, Frailty
was great,
mind-bogglingly great. So much. Yes. I went into that movie cold, knowing nothing.
Me too.
When it was over, I was ready to go see it again. Just absolutely fantastic. Now it did not do well. Near Dark did not do well. It was marketed poorly.
No.
It was terribly marketed. You couldn't tell what it was about.
Everyone saw the Lost Boys instead.
Part of it was
the timing.
It bombed. It has, of course, like many things that were just badly marketed, it has developed a cult following and all. It's just some great stuff. The only bad thing about this film is the two least interesting characters are the main characters. Whose name?
Oh, Adrian Pasdar and the girl.
Yeah, May and whoever. I don't even. I can't even remember.
It's on the tip of my head.
Adrian Pasdar, Caleb and May. Could not give a rat's ass what happened to those two.
You're supposed to feel sorry for Caleb the whole movie, but Caleb is so fickle, and part of it's because of the girl, and part of it he's just clueless.
And it's just, it doesn't ring true. She is the only one of the vampires who seems to have any soul left, any regrets at what she's doing. Maybe because she hasn't been doing it for that long. I guess that's possible. And they pull a happy ending out of their ass. That is just
the way they did it was
But that being said, it's a great movie. It deserves more love than it gets. It gets a lot of love. But I'll say, of all, Let the Right One In, the original.
Oh, wait, can I say one thing about Near Dark? I think Diamondback is gorgeous and a great character. I love her.
Jeanette Goldstein. So I actually got to hang out with her at one of those Mad Monster Con things because
goodness.
They look for I was volunteering there and you get to you become the gopher. You hope you get Jeanette Goldstein.
Yeah, that's what Tim Tolbert
as opposed to say who's the crazy guy? I keep forgetting his name. The crazy guy who fell off a motorcycle and got brain damage and he was in Predator 2. Why do I draw a blank? There's a few actors I just draw complete blanks.
That sounds familiar, but I'm drawing it too.
Crazy guy, crazy, but he's been in a lot of good stuff. But he's nuts. That's the one you don't want to get. You want to get someone like her or Sid Haig. And I got her, and she's a really cool person. You know, she doesn't make a lot of movies anymore, but she started like a line of bras for full-figured women, and she's making good coin at it too. And they had like the whole crew there from Alien. She's just a real sweet person. Those are the fun celebrities to talk to.
Absolutely.
Because they'll tell you the real dirt. They'll tell you who's a jerk behind the scenes. They're not trying to be politically correct or anything. But yeah,
they like fantastic. The attention, and they like to be treated as regular people. And
but also the celebrities that they genuinely are, because created some great characters.
Sure, absolutely.
Let the Right One In is my favorite vampire movie, probably
ever. I watched it last night for you.
Probably a top 10
I've seen it before.
Film, yeah. And I like it so much that I did not hate the remake, although I went in fully expecting to.
Did you feel like the remake was necessary?
No, it was completely unnecessary. It was strictly made for people who don't like reading subtitles.
Okay,
because this movie needs to be seen. But now you got to watch it. You got to actually see the right subtitles, because when they first released it in America, the subtitles were really dumbed down for Americans. And it's a fascinating thing to show you just how the choice of just a few words can change the whole meaning. So there's a scene where she is berating her thrall, the pedophile who goes out and very badly tries to get blood for her and is not particularly good at his job. And she's just screaming at him. She's angry. And the original version, he looks at her with his little beaten dog expression and says, "Forgive me." And in the American version, he looks the same expression and says, "Sorry." Man, there is, and they can say, well, it's basically the same thing. There is a world of, you don't have to be a writer to understand the difference between forgive me and sorry, which sounds almost insolent given the context of everything. Oh my God, they're so stupid. But man, what a great film. Just absolutely wonderful. The kid actors are terrific.
Oh, they're incredible. How old were those two kids playing the 12-year-olds when they shot? Do you know?
I think she was maybe around 14 or so.
Yeah, she looks older.
Yeah, and her voice is dubbed. They did dub her original voice. Yeah, because it sounded too girlish. And that was one of the things that they play around with. So one of the things I've seen, if you discuss this movie, is get ready for a fight, because if you refer to Ellie as a girl, you'll quickly get corrected that she's not a girl. I don't know. Listen, in the book, she's a castrated boy that was castrated like hundreds of years ago, turned into a vampire and castrated. And that explains that very quickly. You see the scar briefly, but she portrays herself as a girl. She, she says, "I'm not a girl," but when she says that, I'm thinking what she's saying is, "I'm not a human."
Right. Exactly.
There are some people who even argue she's not a vampire. Shut up. This whole thing. Oh, she's not really a vampire. She drinks blood. She lives forever.
The whole movie.
Vampire. Yeah. So yeah, I just people are looking for a reason to get upset.
Absolutely.
The love story, and here's where I disagree with the writer, the original writer, and who is he to suggest otherwise? When I saw this film, and what I take away from it, having not read the book, so I don't know the additional things that happen, to me, this is a profoundly sad story. Because to me, that little boy is going to be the pedophile in 50 years or so. His fate is to basically now he's taking care of her. And I think she genuinely does have feelings for him.
Yeah.
But that is
well, he's drawn to her because everyone else, all the other kids hate him.
Yeah. But she also is genuinely good to him in the way she kills bullies and stuff.
That's awesome.
And there's a sweetness, and the fact that his first kiss is this girl that's covered in someone else's blood. There's a sweetness and a horror to it. This film brilliantly makes you feel empathy for the monster without taking away the fact she's a monster. The woman that she kills, the woman that she vampirizes and then burns alive, did nothing to deserve that fate. This was in the wrong place at the wrong time, as were all these people that her, creepy familiar killed. None of these people deserve that. Even the guy, the one who's sort of the antagonist and everything, because he's trying to find the monster who killed his friend. Right. We kind of be on his side, but now we've gotten to know these kids and we're hoping they get away with it. It's really well done without, doing the Twilight thing or anything else where, the poor vampire, he can't help being the way he is. Die. Boy, do I like this film. But to me, it's a sad ending that this kid is fated now to become that. Well,
yeah, but it also has one of the most horrific sequences in cinema ever. And that's that sequence in the pool when he takes everybody out. It's one of the most horrific moments ever in cinema. It is visceral and it is terrifying.
It is, and so implied. I mean, you don't see much. Okay, you see an arm that suddenly isn't attached, and then you see
hear it.
Someone being dragged. I mean, the way, and then you see the aftermath.
I mean, it is an astounding piece of horror cinema right there. Just that sequence.
That's brilliant, and the sequence where he doesn't believe that she's a vampire and she won't come in until he invites her in, and he just like, come on in, and she goes in, and we actually see what happens where she begins to bleed to death, and that that's so good. It is just such a great film.
It's incredibly well made,
and boy, you couldn't set it anywhere else. That's one of the reasons why the remake was doomed. Sweden always gets rated pretty highly as a great place to live and everything. I'd kill myself. It's so desolate. But boy, is that great. I mean, blood. The only place where blood would look better than on snow is in a cotton field. And I've always wanted to shoot something where I would, can I rent your cotton field for a while and throw fake blood all over it? Because there's just the beauty of that, the contrast and everything. It's terrific.
One of my favorite albums is by Coven, and I know the singer actually, and I mean she's been at it since '68 when she was 16.
I actually connected with her on Facebook. So
yeah, I saw her live. I didn't get to meet her in person, but we've corresponded a lot. And Jinx,
you have the same hometown.
Yeah. My favorite album of theirs is Blood on the Snow. It's an incredible fucking album. And it's got that classic painting of the devil playing the violin, and the devil's got almost like this kind of dog-like muzzle. But I don't know who originally painted it. It's been used a lot, but great album. But anyway,
you know what? I got to run off, but I just want 2 comments about both. Blackula, man, what a great movie! So good. And a movie that has every reason to be stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Amen.
But William Marshall, that's where I can't imagine anyone else cast who could pull it off the way he does. The gravitas that he brings to the role.
Yeah.
And genuinely some scary sequences. That woman running in slow motion still haunts me.
We talked about that.
It's unforgettable. It's just and Tomb of Dracula, again, like I say, one of my favorite portrayals. Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. Gene Colan was meant to do this.
Absolutely.
And they actually managed to pull off even sometimes integrating superheroes into it. The issue 50 with the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And he's a bad guy. Dracula is a villain. He's a villain.
But they do build empathy with him. They do.
He's authentic. That's his thing. Like they said, Dracula was many things, but above all, he was a man, and that should not be forgotten.
Yeah.
And he, people say, is there any project you'd like to see them do live action? I've always thought, Tomb of Dracula would be a great miniseries, but I've so lost faith. I've so lost faith in Marvel at this point that I don't want to have any. apparently they've gone back to square one with Blade because there's a hard project to do. Blade.
By the time they do it, Mahershala Ali will be too old to do all this.
They'll be too old to do the part.
Yeah.
And I hear horrible rumors about some of the things that they have planned for Fantastic Four, and it's like, hopefully,
I tried to tune out the Fantastic Four stuff because it's
Blade would be so simple to do. Just set them in the 70s. Make it a period piece, and boom, and add Dracula.
Yeah, there's.
See, that's what we think. That's why we're not making the movies.
Yeah.
We have the good ideas.